Hey friends, we are looking at the stained glass table lamp by Pantasy, part of their retro collection. It's set number 85042 with 1067 pieces. And as you can see, I have all of the lights off in the room, except for the lights that come with the lighting kit inside this lamp. And I wanted to start this way because that's the most interesting part, I think, is how much light it actually gives off. And in a few minutes, we will turn the lights on in the room so we'll get a better look at the stained glass effect. And of course, the stained glass here on the shade is meant to look like those Tiffany lamps. As my friend MC says, they're the Tiffany lamps that your grandma had. And you can you can kind of see that stained glass effect even with the lights in the room off. And then when you turn the lights on in the room, it even has even more of a stained glass effect. All right, and so yeah, let's start turning on some lights in the room here. Okay, so I didn't start this way because you can see it now washes out the light that comes from the light kit inside of it. But uh, what we're seeing now is it all lit up and you can see the colors. You can see there's a lot more translucent um, going on with the shade. And so let's take a closer look. So starting here in the base, you'll see that they're using this kind of caramel color to represent the bronze that's typically used for these Tiffany lamps. And they have these gold pieces here. And the gold, I have to say, is really well done. I think these are spray painted gold. And it's really consistent. The color is kind of almost a matte type of color. And there is also gold here inside these little insets as well on all four corners. And along the back here is where you plug the USB-C in. So it comes with this cable that you see here. It's currently plugged into my power bank. So it comes with a USB-A to USB-C, and you can just unplug it. And they've done a pretty good job with the engineering so that you can plug it in and out, and it's just using bricks to hold the USB-C female connector in place. So it's just using bricks to do that, which is kind of clever the way that they did that. It feels a little mushy when you're going to push it in, but it's there. It works. And then as you pull it, some of the bricks are starting to complain, but it works. And they actually have these little tiny gold pieces here. I like the use of those. They're gold floral pieces. They're used in each of those corners. And the base is pretty well built. I love the use of all these different types of curves, including a beveled one and then a just rounded curve. And the core is fairly sturdy as you're building this. I want to say it's a 6-sided build, pretty sturdy, and it has you run the wire and hide the wire, and it gives you special little parts to well, not specialized parts, but they have you use parts to hold the wires in place. So they're normal parts, but they're used in a clever way specifically for wire management, which is nice. And it has a pretty solid core with an axle running through it, and then some technical circular Technic pieces running through it as well, in order to give it that beefiness. And then we can see here there's gold along the top also. Again, it's more ornate. Here's an example of using some parts to manage the wiring. And the instructions are pretty clear about how to manage the wiring. So I appreciate that they went that extra amount there. And you can see that there's a little bit of Technic being used here to keep things nice and orderly, especially around the light bulb. So there's a brick built light bulb in here, and I'm going to adjust the camera so we can look upwards into it. Okay, so we're at a lower angle looking up and under the shade, and I'm going to tilt this a little bit too, but you can see we've created a brick built light bulb in there. And inside that light bulb are the 4 LED studs. So they're like 1 by 1 circular studs, and they are lit. So they have little tiny LEDs in them. And they're built into this light bulb that you see. And then it is a brick built light bulb using parts that are pretty well done in order to get that kind of shaping. And then you can't see it, but the light bulb base, the part that screws in into this area, is also the proper colors. I want to say that they're chrome colors, or like a gray, silvery gray inside here. Even though you can't see it, they use the right colors for what would be the threaded part of the light bulb. And it continues to go up, and there's nothing above it, just more of this kind of simulated glass. And you can see sort of the, the skeletal like structure of the interior of this dome for the shade. All right, so here we're getting a closer look at the shade. And the Tiffany lamps typically had like nature, floral inspiration to them, and they're typically a little bit more like abstract. So what they've done here is they actually added dragonflies with translucent green wings. So you can see dragonfly body, tail, eyes, and then 4 wings per each. And there's 4 of these dragonflies all around the outside. And they give you just enough posability to make it make the dragonfly wings hug the contour of the dome, which is nicely done. And you can see there's a lot of translucent yellow being used here, translucent greens being used. I think those are the primary colors that they've got. And then there's these printed pieces, like this blue one, where they've got, I don't know what you'd call it, almost like a mosaic-y looking set of colored prints to them. And I think that is intended to trick your eye into further believing that this is stained glass. Although I think stained glass might not have such fine detail, but I'm glad that they tried, and it's a printed piece anyway. Same goes with these. These are also printed pieces with those designs on them. And then up, as we go up a little bit, you'll see these 2 by 2 circular tiles also have printed decorations to kind of help convince you that it's stained glass. And here's a look at the upper area. This dish right here is completely transparent yellow. This is a gold dish, and then they used one of these radar dishes to simulate the way that these shades are typically vented right at that spot there, because they probably build up a lot of heat. And then you can think of this as the thumb screw that you use. You unscrew it right here, and then this fragile glass shade can come off of it. So they've done a good job making you feel as though this is a real lamp at first glance. As far as the building goes, there's a lot of construction, right, to do all of these, and you have to do them multiple times. And it got slightly repetitive, but the thing is that they're actually different. There's about 3 or 4 different panels, and they're all kind of unique. So I appreciate that they changed it up. And once you start to build them, it's not too hard. It goes together pretty quickly, and just get in the rhythm and enjoy the process. There are some gaps you can see, right? Like right there, boom, big gap. And I couldn't figure out why some of the gaps are wider than others. I'm not sure. I've been, pressing and repressing and pulling and pinching to see if I could get the spacing all even, but I was not able to do that. I'm not sure if it was something that I did during the build that caused that to happen. But they're acceptable gaps. I mean, I don't know how I would have closed up these particular gaps. They already are using wedge plates. These are trans yellow wedge plates in multiple places. So not really sure how you could have, what you could have done differently there. So I think those gaps are okay. So the build was quite enjoyable. I did have one part that had a greasy black gunk on it, and I'll put a picture of it up That was an unpleasant discovery. It was kind of gross. Didn't want to touch it. I might contact Pantasy about it, see if they'll send me a replacement. It did have some leftover pieces right here, and it's good that they have these leftovers because these are the ones that get lost. You know, they're so tiny. And then this pink brick separator, I didn't use it. I typically just use one of my Lego ones. I noticed that it actually has a printed decoration that says Pantasy right there. Oh, you know, I just realized why it has this spring on it. It's so that it's like a pin puller. So if you had a pin that you needed to pull out of something, you put it on there and then you could pull it out. That's kind of clever. But yeah, the color, I mean, it just reminds me of a women's razor. I don't know, it's kind of strange. And then it has these sprues. The sprues held the dragonfly eyes. That's what was on there. Okay, so pretty cool. I enjoyed it a lot. As far as the design and the visual design, how it looks, it's probably, I don't know, maybe a 5 out of 5. I mean, it's extremely convincing, and it's pick-upable. So I know it's not a spaceship, but it's almost swishable, you guys. Swishable lamp. And then as far as the construction, the engineering, probably 4 out of 5 to maybe even a 5 out of 5, because they've used some techniques that are really required in order to help this feel structurally sound, and it doesn't feel top heavy. It should feel really top heavy because there's so many more bricks up here than down here, but it doesn't feel too top heavy. I mean, they went to the extra trouble of adding more bricks down here than necessary. There's more bricks hidden in the base than you would think, and that helps with that overall feel. And if you've ever picked up a lamp that was made of bronze or had a metal base, you know that when you pick it up, it's always much heavier than you think it's going to be. And the same thing here. The moment you pick it up, you're like, whoa, this is heavier than I thought it would be. But I think that weight is not from the base, it's from the shade. Okay, so I hope you got to see everything you wanted to see here. And if you like the video, like it if you like it. And if you could subscribe, that means a lot to me. Helps me keep finding interesting sets. All right, thanks so much.